boredom, anger, moods, sadness, agitation. What helps you relieve the distress? That's this morning's topic on Coffee with Colleen. Let's get started. Good morning and welcome to Coffee with Colleen. I'm Colleen Hammond. I am a former on-camera meteorologist for the Weather Channel turned executive image consultant, coach, and mentor. In 30 days or less, I teach women to take the guessing out of dressing. We talk about style, grooming, and business etiquette as well as manners for everybody else. So, what relieves distress? How do you deal with your emotions? What do we do with all these emotions? Well, it seems like a lot of people right now are turning to outside means instead of learning how to deal with the emotions. There's so many things that are readily available in our life, whether it be drugs or alcohol or other types of addictions. But ultimately, we are responsible for our own emotions. So I want to talk about 10 tips for dealing with our emotions and going through emotional healing and how to do that within ourselves. How to deal with our boredom, how to deal with our sadness, basically how to grow up. Food's the other one. Thank you, Liz. So number one is the ability to know who you are and be comfortable in your own skin and just be yourself. A lot of our own distress comes from internal. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But learning to ask for what you want. Don't be passive aggressive about it. If they loved me, they'd figure it out. No, just tell people what you want and ask for it. Learning to set your own boundaries. Learning, what are your non-negotiables? We talked about this many times in the past. What are your beliefs? What are your opinions? And being comfortable with that. Allowing other people to have their own beliefs and opinions, but being firm in your own beliefs and your own opinions. Standing up for your values. Like I said, your non-negotiables. Being able to wear the clothing that you want to wear. Do other people pressure you? A lot of this outside influence, how much do we let that impact us and how comfortable are we being in our own skin? Are you comfortable to wear your own type of clothes? We talk about all the time with my clients, you have different style personalities. I should put that link on determining your style personality. So what I'm comfortable in may not be what you're comfortable in. And what you are comfortable wearing may not quite be my own personal style. So being comfortable to be able to wear the clothing that you want to wear, eat the foods you want to eat. If you're a vegan, be a vegan. If you're on a keto diet, be on a keto diet. If you're gluten intolerant, deal with that. So what kind of foods do you eat? Saying the things that you want to say. There's a million different ways of being yourself. Because when you're not yourself, you're a little bit off. You don't feel comfortable. You're trying to be somebody else, but it's false. It's not who you are. So learning, number one, to be yourself and be comfortable in your own skin. Be comfortable being yourself. Number two, invent yourself. If there's things about yourself that you don't like, change them. You're you. Be who you want to be. It's these things aren't in control of you. You are in control of them. So if there's certain abilities you want to learn, things you want to learn to do, learn them. You're in control of your environment. Just so decide, who do you want to be? Who do you want to be when you grow up, right? And a lot of these emotional things that are bothering us can be reduced when we can decide to become a calmer person. We can decide to be a less critical person, a less egotistical person, a less lazy person. We can decide to be more productive. We can decide, whatever we want to be. So in the process of number one, being yourself, do a little bit of self-analysis, a self-critique, right? To say, okay, here are my good points. Don't neglect your good points. Here are my good points. Here are things about myself. Why do I react this way? I don't know, probably started when I was 5. I was listening to a Tony Robbins recording this morning. I was going to say tape. That's how long I've been listening to Tony Robbins. It was back on cassette tapes. But I was listening to a Tony Robbins recording this morning. And there's so many different triggers in our life. And one of the triggers he mentioned was when you came home from school, did your mother give you a snack? What time of day was that? For me, it was 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I'd get home from school. My mom would have a snack. We would have, cheese and crackers. And now in my life, I crave cheese and crackers and a glass of wine at 3 o'clock. I added the glass of wine when I was older. My mother did not give me a glass of wine when I was growing up. So when you look at yourself, you may be doing things and responding things that started as habits when you were a child. Doesn't mean you have to continue to be, oh, that's just the way I am. No, you can change that. So number one, be yourself. Number two, if there's things about yourself you don't like, change them. A lot of these outside emotions and dealing with our own emotions come from in here, and the things that we do that we're not happy with or we're embarrassed about or we're not comfortable with. So number three, love, and allow yourself to be loved. It really is amazing to me when I work with some of my clients, and we all have this need to be loved. And the best way to do that is to stop thinking about it and focus on loving others, but also being open to other people loving you, being charitable towards you. And it's really kind of surprising to me the number of people that aren't comfortable with that. Yes, we do need our solitude, our alone time, obviously our individualism, but we are happier, healthier, we live longer lives when we allow ourselves to be loved. So that takes some learning too of how to relate to other people. Maybe you've shut other people off because of painful experiences. Maybe you've shut other people, for whatever reasons. There's a variety of reasons. But getting into the habit of including other people in our plans instead of always going along. Learning to actively listen. And that's in the emotional intelligence course, about learning to be aware of other people and actively listening to the words that they're saying. The most successful people at meetings don't take notes. They're engaged, they're eye contact, they're looking at other people. They jot things down on occasion, but they're engaged and open and into the meeting. So eliminate your more egregious faults. And, like I said, say to my children, just grow up. All right, number 4, learning to get a grip on your own mind. Because it's the thoughts that we think. Remember how powerful your thoughts are. When you think about a time that you were embarrassed, you'll blush again. That's how powerful your thoughts are. Just thinking those thoughts will have physical reactions within your body. So the thoughts that you think are really what's causing you the emotional distress. It's not the outside influences. Those may trigger the thoughts, but by continually thinking these thoughts and allowing these things to remain in your head, that's what's causing us to have these emotional reactions. And when you think the thoughts, they cause physical reactions within your body. So the stress can cause health problems because of everything that's going away. So identify your thoughts. Learn to have that emotional intelligence where you can sit and really analyze. Instead of reacting to a situation emotionally, you can learn to respond appropriately. And that comes with emotional intelligence. So identify your thoughts. Find out the ones that aren't serving you. These thoughts are not helping me, so I need to dispute them, demand that they go away, and replace them with other thoughts. Because it's like when you want new furniture in your house, you take the old furniture out, but you need to replace it. You can't leave an empty living room, right? So it's the same thing with your thoughts. You get out the bad ones, but then you have to replace and substitute them with ones that are more productive and helpful. This emotional distress comes from how we choose to allow our mind to go. So get a grip on it. Get a grip. Oh, the things you think. Yeah, that's right. Dr. Seuss. So, but you're the only one that can do that. You're the only one that can get a grip on your own mind and a grip on your own emotions. And if you don't, then you're going to continue to live in emotional distress and sadness and boredom and all these other emotions that are, like a bit in our mouth, like a horse. It's just pulling us one way and another. So you either spit the bit out and you get in control or it's going to control you. So that's number 4. Number 5 is the past. Let go of the past. Forget about it. There's that saying, forgive and forget. But you don't want to forget so much that you keep putting yourself back in the same bad situations, right? So, but why are we allowing these night sweats to come from thoughts of the past? It is what it is. Live and learn. Deal with whatever has to be dealt with. but don't wallow. Don't keep recalling the past. It's already done. It's gone. It's there. Poof, right? Live and learn from it. Don't repeat the same mistakes because you don't want to be hurt again, obviously. But the sadness that we can sometimes feel, or these waves of anger that we can sometimes feel. Good morning, Bradley. They come from our thoughts of past things. So we can eliminate that. We don't want to wallow there. We need to tell ourselves, okay, I'm going to stop thinking about that and I'm going to move on. Don't you do that? You think about a time in the past or a person that, or somebody that did something and you get angry all over again. Your heart rate goes up. Your blood pressure. Why? Why are we doing this to ourselves? Right? But some people have this little secret attachment to misery and they like to wallow. Then if that's what you want to be and you want to wallow, that's fine. Just stay there. But don't try to, don't try to bring me into this. I said this to my children all the time growing up. If they were having a really emotional time, I'm like, you know what? You need to work this out. You need to go to your room, deal with your emotions, and when you can respond appropriately, come out and we can discuss this. But I'm not about having temper tantrums in public, and I don't want people because it's abusive when people use their emotions to try to impact you or change your mind or cause you to do something just because of their moods. That's abusive. And I don't stand for that. Go to your room and work it out, right? So if certain people have an attachment to misery and they want to wallow, go ahead and do it. But I'm not going to participate in it, right? So letting go of the past, forgetting the past, and not allowing all these things to continue to work through your head and bringing up all these, just let it go. If there's somebody you have to apologize to, or, sometimes you just have to accept the apology from someone that they're never going to give you. Do you know what I mean? Let me say that again. You need to accept the apology from someone that they're never going to give to you. So if there's somebody who's offended you, you may never see them again, or they just may not be the type of person that will ever apologize for what they've done. Then you know what? You're just going to have to okay, whatever. Let it go. Don't expect the apology. Just assume it's already happened and move on with your life. Number 6. Find your internal switch, that anxiety switch, the boredom switch, the nervousness switch, whatever, and flip it off. There's going to be things that trigger you. There's going to be stuff that just flips your switch, right? You have to find out, okay, why am I thinking this? Why am I feeling this way? Stop for 3 minutes. And maybe even 1. Sometimes you can find it right away. Sometimes you can't, right? But if you can find what that trigger is and what that switch is, just flip it off. If somehow it got flipped on, and as a Christian, sometimes I just think it's the devil, flip it off. And if you can't really work it out, then you start using your coping techniques. Right? Okay, I need to work through this anxiety. I need to work through this sadness. I need to work through this boredom. So breathing techniques. I've got a little app, a breathing app on my phone that reminds me to stop and just do 1 minute of mindful breathing. Any kind of cognitive techniques or relaxation techniques, whatever. But something that will help you find that inner switch and flip it to the off position. So you're not going to be over dramatizing or over emotionalizing this thing and making it into a bigger catastrophe than it really is. And you're not going to feel fearful of life because you know you have control. You can stop and take control of the situation and not create unnecessary anxiety for yourself. So number 6 is flipping that, finding the switch and turn it off. Make life meaningful. Good morning, Diana. Meaning is nothing more than what we assign to it, right? And life has the meaning that we assign to it. So sometimes in the search for happiness, we were talking about this Sunday after church, my son and his girlfriend and my daughter and her boyfriend and we were all sitting around talking. And it's like in the search for happiness is not when you find happiness. Happiness, oddly enough, seems to come after the great periods of sadness. So it's like you have to have pain to really appreciate joy. And you have to be unhappy to really appreciate happiness. So the good has to come with the bad has to come with the good. So when, you look around and go, what's the meaning of life? The meaning is what you have given your life. What meaning have you given your life? So stop looking for the meaning, because it's within your power to create meaning in your own life. Does that make sense? Seize those daily opportunities for being productive, for being helpful, to reaching out to other people, to living your life in love and charity. And when you serve others and bring happiness to others, that's when you will experience the true happiness within yourself. So make those daily investments in your own happiness and in your own meaning. And by using that's 7, but that ties into 8, because when you assign your own meaning and making life meaningful for yourself, when you assign that, this is my life, this is my purpose for today, that type of thing. Good morning, Father. You decide that meaning is going to overcome whatever mood you woke up in this morning, right? So if you wake up and you're like, oh, it feels so good, you can either choose to wallow in that all day. Wallow is the word for the day, right? Or just say, you know what? I've got a business to build today, or I have, a book to write, or what's it called, soup kitchen to go and serve in, but you start each day with the meaning that you assign to it. And this morning, because I was doing all these other things, I almost didn't do this live show this morning because a good friend of mine passed away last night. And I was afraid I would start crying. And I said, I shouldn't even have mentioned it. And I thought, no, I honor him in so many other ways, and I will honor my friends by doing my show this morning and keeping my commitment there. Today has the meaning that I have assigned to it. And I know Mike would want me to continue to serve, because that's how he devoted his life in service to women with cancer and helping them feel beautiful through the organization Hello Gorgeous. And he and his wife, Kim. So start each day announcing to yourself, if you have to, what's your meaning for today? What routine chores are you going to do? Do them for the greater glory of God. I'm going to sweep the floor to the best of my ability and make it shine. Not because I expect a reward from somebody, but when I do a job well done, I feel good about it. And so I do that for myself and for God. So reduce your emotional distress by checking into what meaning you have assigned for today. You're right, Frank. Exactly. It's a transition. Number 9, again, like I said earlier, if you don't like something about yourself, change it. So you may not be the person, just upgrade your personality. So earlier we're talking about some activities and stuff, but now if you're too angry or impulsive or whatever, now work on your temperament. You have the temperament you were born with. I won't get into the 4 temperaments course. That's another course. It's being upgraded. But you were born with a temperament that God gave you, and then your nature nurtures. So then you develop other things based on who raised you. So for example, by my very nature, I'm not all that organized, but my mother was. So I learned to be ultra organized. I'm very left brain. So if there's something about yourself that you're not comfortable with, change it. Now, in times of emergency or extreme distress, you'll fall back on your natural tendencies of what you were born with and the way you grew up and that type of thing. But you can choose to behave in a different manner. You can choose to grow up, right? So ask yourself, does this method of behavior align with the meaning I have assigned to my life? And working through that. So think the thoughts that you want to think. Take the actions you want to take. I hear so many excuses of, oh, I'm just not that type of person. Well, why not? Just become that type of person. If you're not now, oh, I'm just not a morning person. Well, you can train yourself to get up earlier. Some people, aren't necessarily a morning person, but what happens if they have a job that starts at 5 a.m.? Guess what? They're getting paid for that. They'll get up and become a morning person. Just go to bed earlier. So if there's things about yourself that you don't like, change them. Number 10, your circumstances matter, so learn to deal with them. Your money things, the money situation, that always matters. Money's a big thing. Our relationships, How we stand in our relationships, that matters. How things are going at work, that matters. How things are within our own body, our own health, that matters. Politically, where our nation stands, that matters. These are all things that can be outside of our control. You know, we can't control sometimes what happens in the economy. We can control how we respond to it and how we control our own wallet. We can't always control the relationships that are going on around us, or our own personal relationships too. We want them to be good, but sometimes when you're involved with another person, things happen that are outside of your control. There's a lot of things that happen at work that are outside of our own control. Our health, for the most part, can be within inside our own control, but sometimes, like in the case of my friend Mike, who passed away last night at a very young age, he just had a health condition that he was not able to control. And of course, nations being at peace is not something we control. So these are all circumstances in our life that are outside of our control. But how we respond to them is truly what matters. So you can change your relationship. You can change your job. You can do different things and eat different foods to respond to, the health situation. But do what you can do when outside circumstances are impacting you. But a lot of times that's outside your control, but control what you can control. And just by controlling what you can control, you can emotionally feel better. So you can see with all 10 of these, it's what the action that you take, and it's how you choose to respond to things. You ultimately are in control of your emotions, not other people. Outside circumstances happen, and it may trigger an emotion and a feeling within us. But ultimately, how we choose to respond. Are you going to stay depressed? Are you going to stay bored? I used to tell my children all the time, Mom, I'm bored. Intelligent people are never bored. And then my son, who's, like the IQ of 160 or whatever, he's like, yeah, I guess I'm not that smart because I'm bored. So how you choose to respond to that, go outside and create something, or sit on a smartphone or play a video game. I mean, what are you going to do with that boredom? What are you going to do with your sadness? And remember, the body is very powerful. So how would you sit if you were bored? How would you sit if you were excited? Right? So changing your physiology will change the chemical reactions that happen in your body and change the way you're thinking. So again, we go back to, I don't have my pen handy. All I have is a makeup brush. Go back to this. By holding a pen in your mouth for 2 minutes, whether you're emptying the dishwasher, cleaning the bathroom, or I was going to say brushing your teeth, shaving, let's say that. By holding that pen in your mouth, it forces your facial muscles into a smile, which triggers certain chemicals to be released in your bloodstream, which are happy chemicals. So respond to the circumstances around you in a different manner. And we live in a society of self-help. So for heaven's sakes, get on YouTube and Google it. Do a search on YouTube and find a video that might be able to help you. You'll find other ones too, but by taking and being proactive in your own emotions and understanding that you, and ultimately only you, are in charge of the emotions that you're feeling, taken, of course, out of, if somebody has a chemical imbalance, and we're talking, that's an extreme case, but in general, you are totally in control of your own emotions. And if you take control of them, recognize them, and deal with them in these 10 different ways, you have an amazing ability to reduce your emotional distress and improve your emotional health. So I hope those were helpful to you. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure that you subscribe to my channel and click the little bell so that you will be notified of every time I upload new videos. And like, comment, and share, and let me know in the comment section if any of these ideas were helpful to you. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you next time, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern on Facebook Live. Take care. God bless. Bye.